Go Mustangs! The Coach Jackson Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.
Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here for Week 11 of the Coach Randy Jackson Show. Your Grapevine Mustangs moved to 10-1 with their first playoff victory in a long time this past Friday night at Pennington Field. And Coach, it was a good crowd showed up to support the team. Talk about your first Grapevine playoff win and the first one in Grapevine in a long time.
Yeah, it's been since '06, so it was a 10-year anniversary of it. It was high time. Last year we felt like we let one slip away in by-district that we should have won, and so it was nice. 5.5 miles away, just in Pennington, a beautiful stadium, had a good crowd. Really felt like we came out firing on all cylinders, and was proud of. I mean, our defense was rock solid, and our offense executed. So it was a team, really, honestly, that we were better than. But still, I was just proud to see us execute. And it was a dominating performance to give us a little momentum going forward.
Well, we'll get into the specifics of that here in a minute. But it was a special week, first week in the playoffs, and thanks to Coach Lester's idea that took off on its own from there, we had the pep rally in downtown Grapevine. You got to speak, Mayor Tate got to speak, and he was great. But it was really, like you said at the pep rally tonight, it was almost like Back to the Future with everything but the DeLorean.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, really, it's neat how everything just comes together. And it's like Coach Lester says, only in Grapevine is everybody just so willing to make something happen like that. So I think it's something the kids will always remember. It's a great playoff tradition maybe that we can get started, and so I was real happy with the turnout and just the energy that we had. We got a little juice going, and it just made the lead up into Friday that much more exciting.
Well, it definitely got them ready to go. They went into the game and they didn't waste any time. You got a little bit of a slow start, but all in all, the first half you were up 42-0, and you had a 354-yard to 56-yard advantage at the half, and that was with having to kick a couple of field goals early. So just talk about the energy that came out, especially on the offensive and defensive side, how they were just firing on all cylinders.
And I think it was residual from the week before. I felt like against Birdville we played really well, came out on all cylinders again, and so we had plenty of respect for Southwest. Southwest beat Eastern Hills worse than we did, so we knew they had some athletes. They had a receiver going to Missouri, and they've got some players. It's just a first-year program of a new coach, and they're going to get better every year. But we still felt like we had the advantage physicality-wise, just off-season-wise, kind of just bigger kids. And so I was proud that we imposed our will, I guess, physically on them. I was proud that you're always proud when you don't have any turnovers. We didn't have a whole bunch of penalties, and so it was a clean game. We stayed healthy, and it was just one that we took care of business. And you think, well, you're better than they are in this, but it's a playoff game, and you never know what'll happen. And so I was glad we answered the bell and did a good job with them.
Well, it was a good start. Offensively, you had 548 yards. You had 5 different players score, and like you said, you had 0 turnovers. Just talk about the offense and how efficient they've gotten, because I think you were averaging about 7 yards a play throughout the entire game.
Yeah, and it's really started up front for us all year. I mean, our offensive line last year was one of those. It was kind of a revolving door. This year we've settled on some guys for the most part. We hadn't had a lot of movement. They've just played great up front. It starts with them, and then we've got a quarterback who I think it was his 32nd start in a row. So all that stuff just kind of works together, and when you can handle guys up front, you got a quarterback back there making good decisions, and he did a great job of spreading the ball around. We had like you said, a bunch of guys catch passes. I think we had 8 guys catch a pass, and so that's always fun to spread the ball around. And both of our running backs averaged a healthy average, and Deshaun broke his typical long run that he breaks, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun offensively.
Well, speaking of Allen, he had 366 yards. Now that puts him over 3,000 for the year. He threw 5 touchdowns. Like you said, 8 receivers caught a pass. Even Trey Waters got one, so it was good to see Trey getting back on the field after his broken arm all the way back in 2-a-days. But what you talk about with the offensive line, if you watch the highlights, Allen has a lot of time. So that makes a big difference, talking about the offensive line for him. Then on the defense, you shut him out pretty well, shut him out completely on the scoring, 130 yards total, 5 interceptions. You had 2 pick sixes, 3 if you want to count the one that ZR had returned back. but it was just nonstop from the Grapevine defense all night long.
Yeah, and I mean, really from the get-go. I mean, starting the game with a 3 and out, they just really never gave them room to breathe. It seemed like if they ever did have a plus play, if they ever tried to run the ball outside or something, it would be a -5 or something like that to get them off schedule. Probably the biggest pride for me, we had a miscommunication on the kickoff return to start the second half, and they got the ball on the 1 yard line. And so I thought, well, there probably goes our shutout. You know, it's okay, whatever, let's go. And next play kind of philosophy, and we held them and kept them out of the end zone, and so that was a neat deal. I was real proud to see our guys do that.
Well, not only did you keep them out of the end zone, you gave them the ball 1st and goal at the 2. Next thing you know, it's 4th and goal from the 18, and Nick Jordan intercepts a pass. We'll see that highlight here in a minute. So not only did you stop them, but you just pushed them completely backwards.
Yeah, there was a lot of negative plays the other night. I mean, we do a good job of penetrating, and really all year long we've had a lot of negative plays. And again, we're trying to keep people off schedule and be a pressure defense, and they did a great job with it.
Well, we're going to see some highlights in a minute, but you had a couple of guys step up in a big way. Cale Dow, who has really stepped in on the receiving sides, had a great last few weeks. And then Cole Stevenson stepped in with an injury at nose guard and played most of the game. And it was a classic example of next man up, and you didn't even notice the fact that your starting nose guard was gone.
Yeah, and Brian is we think Brian's one of the top nose guards in the state of Texas. So when we lost him, you know, that was a little bit of concern, but it was good to see Cole come in, and I mean, that's our future, and he'll be the guy that I hope will be doing it in 2017. And so yeah, he did a great job. I was real proud of him.
Well, let's look at some highlights here. We're going to start it here with the still perfect on the season, both field goals and extra points, Carson French.
Yeah, and I think he's 79 out of 79, which is just astronomical. I've never had a kicker perfect, and what a weapon that is.
I don't think many coaches have had somebody put those kind of numbers up. And right here was a big breakup. Zach Rice, one of the most athletic plays of the night. You talk about the kid going to Missouri. Zach Rice came out of nowhere.
Yeah, and that's early in the game, and you know, if you give up a big play like that early in the game, then you know, football's a game of momentum, and you just never know how it's gonna. This might get a little more stressful if you give up a big play like that, and then all of a sudden they score and they've got a little life in them. So that's really good stuff right there.
Well, he had to get some reach to get up that high to avoid the pass interference. And then here we go with a long one broken by Zach Carnes.
Yeah, and this is a crossing route. It's a man beater, and what a great, you know, that's a new thing now to see people hurdle guys. I still can't imagine when I played ever hurdling anybody, but how athletic did that look? And then right down their sideline, and you can see some of the, when you rewind that, see a few expressions of the kids on their sideline, just in a little bit of surprise, I guess. But you know, this is a they were in man coverage, and so a crossing route's always good stuff against man coverage, and Allen made a great read.
Well, I know he was disappointed not to get in, but Dylan got the touchdown on the following play. So then we're going to move ahead. This was the 2-point conversion.
Yeah,
Caught everybody off guard.
Yeah, this is something that we've repped some, and we have a few different one of these, and actually this is the first one that's been successful, so I was proud of that. And that's one reason why Cole is our kicker, because we want to be able to do things like this, and he's an ex-quarterback, so he can handle the ball, but he's also a big physical kid.
Well, it worked out better than you did for the Pittsburgh Steelers yesterday, so that was good to see. And then this was the stop of the drive when Nick Jordan, in the early part of the second half, made the pick to stop their drive when they started 1st and goal 2 and wound up still scoreless.
Yeah, Nick's got great hands. He's got great instincts at inside backer. He does that a lot in practice.
And then last highlight will be one of Cale's 2 TDs.
Yeah, and Cale, like you said, Cale's just really getting better and better every week. Just amazing what our receiver core has done, considering how many new guys we have. I mean, basically all 4 of our starters either didn't weren't here or didn't play football or didn't play receiver last year, and so Kale he's our blue collar guy, blocking. He's a possession receiver. I mean, most of his catches are for first downs, and so I was proud to see him get in the end zone a couple of times.
Well, if you talk to his teammates, they talk about how hard he is to tackle. They said he is just almost impossible to get to the ground. So
yeah, he's just a physical kid. I mean, I remember last year in the spring game, his helmet popping off and everybody going, because of a physical play, and so he just has that toughness about him that we're trying to really brand our whole program with.
Well, it's working, and he's doing a good job with it. Been a big advantage for you. So moving on in the playoffs, we move to round number 2. No stranger to the playoffs. The Aledo Bearcats, they're of course doing the documentary about Titletown. I think they've won something like 6 out of 8 state championships. So talk about coaching up against the Aledo Bearcats right now.
It's just a program that everybody knows. We when I got here, it's like, okay, we want to be relevant. We want to be one of those programs that people in the state talk about, and we were playing the epitome of relevance in Aledo. I mean, they've just won for so long, and they're so consistent. I really kind of compare them. I mean, they're really the Alabama of 5A football. They're not unbeatable by any means, but they're never going to beat themselves. The teams that can beat them are physical teams who play a really good football game and don't have a lot of turnovers. And so, I mean, they're one of those that we'll have to play our best game. The moment can't be too big for us, because for them it's just another game. I mean, we talk about going 1-0 every week. We don't talk about this being an area or round 2 or anything, but for sure for Aledo, they're just on a schedule. They're on their routine. They're used to playing 16 games a year, and so for them this is just another day at the office. So we're gonna have to bring it.
Well, it's going to be a fun one to see. I went and watched them take out my alma mater in Wichita Falls Rider, and they were very impressive. Like you said, no mistakes. They dress about 150 people, so they look like a
Yeah.
college program when they show up. So it's going to be fun to see that. That's going to be Friday night at Saginaw High School, 7 p.m. We'll get the word out on what color to wear. Don't forget, Breakfast of Champions. Come hear what John Earl has to say this week, because I'm sure he'll be on point again like he is week after week. And for the dads and the men of the town of Grapevine, we'll see you Friday morning at 7:30, bringing up food for the coaches and the players. Everybody else, Friday night, 7 o'clock, Saginaw High School. Come ready to be very, very loud and support your Grapevine Mustangs, and we will see you there. Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes, Grapevine Booster here in the Grapevine Mustang locker room with junior Cole Stevenson. Cole gets plenty of activity. You see him every single week. He's the holder for the perfect kicker Carson French, and this past week in playoff round number 1 got plenty of nose guard action. Cole, talk about the success you and Carson have had this year on the kicking game.
Well, every morning we're during count and fair, we're working at it, and the centers have been perfect all year too. So we've got to give credit to them.
A lot of hard work, and it's paying off. Obviously, there you're over 70 perfect field goals and kicks this year. So congratulations on that. And talk about this past week. Early in the game, you take over for the one of the best nose guards in the state for Brian Andrews, and playoff game, and there was no noticeable drop of production. Talk about what it took to step up and fill in for Brian.
Well, the twos go in just as much as the ones in practice, and we're going against Wyatt and Hector, the interiors, and we're getting work just as much as the ones are. So when I stepped in for him, there's no change at all.
Well, good job and congratulations on that. Let's look at a few of the plays here and talk about some of the things you accomplished this past Friday night. Here is one of the first 2 field goals here, and there you and Carson go adding to that perfect record. And then after that, this was a little bit of looked like a chaotic scene. Tell us what's going on here.
Well, you can see the 3 biggest guys on the team are up front, so Wyatt's pulling around the corner, so it's a piece of cake.
Yeah, it looked like they created a pretty good hole for you there. Worked out better than they did for the Pittsburgh Steelers this past weekend,
Yes,
so
sir.
congratulations on that. And then, here you are at nose guard after a completely impressive stop. Gave him the ball, 1st and goal at the 2-yard line, pushed him back, and then Nick puts a complete stop to it.
Yes, sir.
Talk about that drive and what you thought when you give them the ball, 1st and goal at the 2-yard line.
Yeah, well, we work it every week. We work goal line situations on offense, coming into the defensive side, And so just pass rush is an important part of that. The whole D-line was back there, so we got to them.
Well, it worked out well. We'll look forward to seeing you this upcoming Friday night against Aledo. But before we let you go, tell us about working with the kids at the Little League Super Bowl on Saturday morning.
Yeah, it was a great time. Just 12 hours after the game, got called up for an hour notice and went and played with the little kids. It was a great time.
Well, good. You probably made those kids
Yes, sir.
day of a lifetime for those kids. So very good. Thanks for visiting with us, and we look forward to seeing you Friday night in Saginaw against Aledo.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Mustang Nation. Matt Carnes here in the Grapevine Mustang locker room with Grapevine wide receiver Cale Dow. Cale's coming off of a big night against Fort Worth Southwest in the playoff round 1. You had 4 catches and 72 yards. Talk about the first playoff game of the year.
Great to be part of a playoff game because I didn't get to be part of the one last year. So it's great to come out with the W and move on to the next round.
Over the last few weeks, you have really found a spot in this offense. You and Allen have really connected. Talk about what it took to get you two up, to get you over 400 yards for the season so far.
Just in practice, making sure I knew the plays, going crisp routes, and just going over and over again with the routes and making sure me and Al are on the same page.
Well, it seems like it's paying off well.
Yes, sir.
We're going to look at one of the highlights here first. This is one of your touchdowns Friday night. Talk about what's going on here.
Okay, so what we did was we did a fake bubble, which is bubble bag, and what happened was I walk off and then I'll go, and so the linebacker came down and I went, and since there was a safety there, Allen threw me a back shoulder and I caught it, and then I went back into the inside. Yeah. So walked off, and he went, looked for me, hit me back shoulder, and then I just beat this guy inside for a tackle, and then he tried to strip the ball and just wasn't going to let him tackle me.
Well, several of your teammates have commented about just how hard you are to tackle, and you certainly showed it there.
Yes, sir.
Talk about the other touchdown.
So the other touchdown, we were driving down the field. We got to about the 7-yard line, and I just ran a 5-yard hitch. Linebacker was outside, caught it, and then I went inside and just backpedaled in the end zone.
Well, that was another big one. Of course, you had 2 touchdowns. Zach Carnes had 2 touchdowns. 5 guys scored touchdowns. So that was a good night to see for that.
Yes, sir.
Tell us what you're looking for in the Aledo game.
Just our team to just play our game and not make our own mistakes, beat ourselves, because if we just play our game, we got Aledo for sure.
Well, that's good to hear. And before we let you go, tell us about Saturday getting to work with the Mustang Panther football program.
That was a blast to work with the younger kids, because I remember when I was in youth league, that was so much fun. And to play in the Super Bowl and then the other team having to forfeit, it wouldn't have been that fun. But getting to play against another group, even they're bigger, it was fun. It's just a blast.
Well, you probably made one of the greatest days of those kids' lives, so
Yes,
I'm
sir.
sure they'll remember that forever. So we'll look forward to seeing you Friday night against Aledo. Good luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go Mustangs! The Coach Jackson Show, brought to you by Kim Assad, your real estate broker.